Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I'm Abs of October Red, and yes, you've guessed it, maybe you haven't, but it's news and reviews. It has been, I'm going to get right into it, and I beg your pardon. I hope you're all well, having a lovely weekend, and if you're in the UK, you're enjoying the marvellous wet weather that we are having. And if you're in Birmingham, it's been about 3 days now since we've seen the sun. But I digress. We are here to talk about what is happening in boxing. And I like moments like these because there's yet another shift. We're seeing another change. There is so much happening. As you can see by the thumbnail that I've put up, we've got Callie Sowland on there, we've got Jake Paul, Nikisa on there, Deontay Wilder, because those are the topics that I'm going to go through. Now, as you know, I've been to a couple of press conferences this week, and if you don't know, why not? Because the videos are all uploaded, ready for your loving ears and your comments that you like to put regarding feedback, etc, etc. So all the content's up there, and the first one we'll talk about is the Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I posted a clip from Talksport where Chisora said he was out of contract, and then I posted a clip as a slide on the same post from IFL Kugan Cassius when he interviewed Frank Warren. So, great stuff, because it was conflicting information. And it was after this fight had been announced between Chisora and Deontay Wilder, but it was sold, or it was rumoured that it was going to be on Skysports. So I was scratching my head thinking, well, how can that happen when I thought Chisora was with Queensberry and Queensberry are on Dazn, and isn't Callie Sowland on Dazn or Channel 5? I mean, how's Sky Sports got into this? How have they? So it raises a lot of questions, and we'll get into some of those answers because things became apparent as the week went on. So it turns out the announcement is made that the fight is a co-promo as such between Queensberry and MFPro. And I've got to be mindful not to say Mfpro, as Callie Sowland corrected me in our conversation, even though MF does stand for Misfits, but whatever, it's called MF Pro. They are trying to steer away from the YouTube fighters and say, no, we are taking on professional fighters. So, co-promo, Queensberry, MF Pro. And it's going to be on Dazn. Dazn secured the deal. I had the pleasure of speaking to Callie Sowland, and he explained about a fight like this wasn't necessarily aligned to any particular platform. We did receive aggressive, front-footed offers from Sky, but at the last minute, the 11th hour, Dazn came in and obviously topped it. So they gave more money to say, no, we want that broadcast on Dazn. So Sky lost out there for that fight, not a problem. Because as you know, and I know, and everybody else around you probably knows, Sky is now back in boxing. But I did speak to Frank Warren, but unfortunately for me, my head was a little bit all over the place that day on Wednesday. And just some clerical errors, administrative errors. I didn't set my microphones up properly. Therefore, the Frank Warren conversation didn't record. And that's on me, my bad. Should I have double checked it, triple checked it like I usually do? Absolutely yes. But I didn't. And here we are. And Frank said, yep, working together in this partnership, basically whoever loses is done, etc, etc. Kind of like along the professional, cordial lines that, yep, we've had a conversation about this behind closed doors. Let's not be too hasty. It's all sorted out and it's working fine. And that was it. And it was brilliant. Cool. Callie Sowland was asked questions by me, which is, are Dazn now going to do the broadcasting for MFPro? He says, I can't answer that yet, but fortunately, the day after it was announced, MFPro, long-term deal with Dazn. So that answer came out very quickly. They were obviously finalising stuff before they made a formal announcement, and I get that, but that's not going to stop me asking questions. My next question is, and it kind of makes sense. It's, if you look at the sport as a conveyor belt, then obviously, are they still going to be Wasserman Boxing, or is it MFPro now? And what's going to happen to the Wasserman fighters? Are they going to remain under Wasserman, or are they going to amalgamate? Are they going to join MFPro? And to me, that makes common sense, but I'm not aware of any potential timelines of contracts, terms of leaving contracts, etc., because that's where it can get a bit messy. And to be fair, I can understand why Callie was like, slow your roll. I can't answer that yet. But like I said, it's not going to stop me answering the questions. So hopefully we will see the stable, or what's left of the Wasserman stable, because I really do think they need to rebuild it. I don't think they've got enough fighters. Is that going to amalgamate into MFPro? I believe they've got Mick Conlan. They've obviously got Vidal Riley now. They're promoting this fight, so are they going to potentially sign Chisora or Wilder? Who knows? Lucas Rollrig, Matty Harris. Obviously, they've let Josh Kelly, I don't know what kind of, semi-management or whatever it is, friendship, but he's gone back to Matchroom, so he's not part of them anymore. Unless, Matchroom have just short-term fights with Josh Kelly. Who knows? They're all seeping into each other like roots in the mud outside as a plant grows. Anyway, metaphorically. So that's what we've got. MFPro on Dazn. Let's see what happens moving forward with the MFPro fighters. Who are they going to be? Are we going to have more? Are they going to sign Chisora or Wilder? Yes, potentially. I think Chisora said this is it for him. Can we guarantee that? No. Wilder has not said this is it for him. He believes he's on a resurgence. He's ready to come back. And I did speak to Deontay Wilder off camera briefly. He seemed in good spirits. He's obviously with his new partner. He seemed happy enough. He's very friendly. He's very likable as like an individual when you speak to him on a one-to-one basis. I've spoke to him a couple of times now, and he's always been very respectful and polite, which kind of moves me onto the topic of when he was on Talksport, and they poked the bear basically, didn't they? Deontay Wilder said a couple of key things, and this is just my opinion, and I will always have a different opinion to maybe the majority of the boxing fans because of the way I see things, and I make no bones about that. And I don't mind you guys giving me your 50 pence worth in the comments, because that's why I do these videos, because I want that engagement. I want to hear what you think. Your comments and how you see things is as equally as important to how I see things, but none of it is as important as how Deontay Wilder sees it, because it's his experience. Now, the only way I always attribute boxing, and I try to get myself to understand or other people to understand, is boxing kind of mirrors life. And often people have been subject to being called, tinfoil hat wearers and conspiracy theorists. And that word conspiracy theories, especially recent in modern times, I'm not talking about boxing, has ended up to be a lot of true stories. A lot of it was like, it sounded so impossible. How could it be true? Now, I don't know the facts of Deontay Wilder and what happened to him in the Tyson Fury fight, because at that time I wanted Tyson Fury to win, back the Brit, all the rest of it, and I hadn't met Deontay Wilder, and I wasn't as keen on him as a person as I am now, having met him and having spoke to him. You could see, and this is from somebody who is au fait with mental health, au fait with complex PTSD, au fait with trauma on a personal level. And I saw that as a trigger. And it's all well and good people laughing and saying, oh, he's triggered. But one of the things that we don't tend to do, and we're kind of flippant with it, is mental health, especially when it comes to men's mental health. And I'm not saying this in an anti-feminist way, so don't get at me for this, but when you look at the mental health rates of men, suicide rates of men, it's quite serious. And I saw, what I saw was somebody that was triggered, as in, you know, when you've got a phobia or something terrible has happened to you. If you understand about PTSD or complex PTSD, these things are what they are. There's triggers. And he said, I think a couple of times, do not ask me about Fury. And he continued to probe him. Now, Deontay Wilder is from the South in America. That is a completely different world to multicultural London. His experiences as a black man will be significantly different to the experiences in the UK. I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist in the UK, because it bloody well does. But I'm saying that his perspective will be different. So he would have saw it as, you're siding with Tyson Fury because he doesn't look like me. And then straight away, that got Talksport's back up, and he was like, oh, don't bother with that. Don't you dare bring up the race card, blah, blah, blah. And then Wilder went on to explain why he feels like that, but he was dismissed, he was mocked, and he was basically told to shut up about it. It was almost like, I don't agree with what you're saying. Your feelings are invalid. And it was almost like he was gaslit into shutting up. Now, that is what I saw from my point of view, from my perspective. It's up to you whether you agree with me or not. I'm not asking you to. Just like everyone else has got an opinion on Deontay Wilder and how he reacted, I've got one as well. Don't think for 1 minute I'm saying I agree with the cheating, the spiked water, because I don't know. I'm not privy to the tests of the water. I'm not privy to the examination of gloves. But what I'm saying is he believes it. And you have to remember, Tyson Fury was scheduled to fight Anthony Joshua, and I remember it so clearly because I posted it. I was like, oh my God, they're actually going to fight. It was on BoxRec. I put it up, I screenshotted it. This was in the old days of October Red Boxing, and then all of a sudden, there was a legal case, a private legal case, arbitration. And you have to tell yourself, guys, that the arbitration of that case resulted in the trilogy. That had to happen as part of the case. Go back and look it up yourself. So there's a lot around that case that is clearly messed with Deontay Wilder, right? Like I said, I'm not privy to the details, but when I'm looking at him and I'm listening to him and I'm seeing how he's reacting, and everyone's laughing at him, fobbing it off, or calling him, you know, this aggressive person, or, you know, quick to put the bonkers label on him with being dismissive to how he feels about stuff. Tricky situation, because I understand there's certain people, you know, when you pay masters say things, you have to kind of like shut the hell up and agree with it. But fortunately for me, I don't have any. So, and I will give my honest opinion. What I see is someone that was broken from whatever happened in that fight. So when I see him at the press conference, you can sense a little bit of nervousness in him a little bit, just because obviously he's done the Talksport thing first, and then obviously he's got to go to the press conference. You know, there's no secrets in boxing. I more or less heard about the Talksport interview before it was edited, chopped up or put on air or whatever, because I didn't watch it live, if there was a live broadcast, because I was on my way down to the press conference. But speaking to Wilder, he was very amenable, kind, respectful, just the same fighter that I'd met a few years ago at one of the Riyadh season events in London. So you might not agree with him. You might have thought his outburst was unacceptable, unpalatable. But I think with certain things, certain areas, and we're quick to talk about the suicide rates of men and mental health with men, but when we see someone acting out, crashing out, because that's exactly what he did, we mocked him because we didn't agree with him or we didn't like what he said. So that's my thoughts on it. Please feel free. Like I said, you can say what you want in the comments. I do love a debate, guys. I really do. But that is my perspective in his eyes. And I always try and look at it from people's different... If I was thinking, if I was them, what would I have done? Would I have done with it, dealt with it any differently? I mean, one of my eldest son was like, I get what he was saying, but he should have been a bit more stoic about it. And I was like, yeah, but he sat there and said he's got PTSD. And one of the key things with PTSD is triggers. And he did say, do not ask me about that. Food for thought. And please give me yours. So then, yep, the press conference is what it is. We get through that. I get to speak to... So I didn't get Deontay Wilder on camera, unfortunately. He was busy, jet-lagged, and he'd done 5,000 interviews before. I'll get him fight week. I really do intend to get him fight week. And I spoke to, obviously, Derek Chisora, a bit more of a mellow conversation with him. He's coming up to, well, they both are. They're on the 50th fight, aren't they? And they've both got a different outlook. They've matured in their own ways due to the experiences that they've had. Derek clinged on to being a father, really enjoying being a father, really enjoying having a partner, his wife that shares that journey with him. So you grow into love, don't you? I always say, don't fall in love, you grow into love. So it was nice to see that side of Derek. And like I said, I messed up. I didn't get to record the Frank Warren conversation, so I can only remember snippets because you can't really hear anything of the conversation. And then, while that's bubbling, we get the announcement that Most Valuable Promotions is now being broadcast in the UK by Skysports, and they're having their debut April the 5th at the Olympia in London, headlining it with Caroline Dubois versus Terry Harper for a unification. And then I'm panicking now because I'm thinking I've never had any mail releases from MVP, so I'm scrambling around trying to find an email address. And fortunately, and thank you to Andy Scott from Sky and to Emma Dolan, the fighter, I managed to get in contact with PR and they gave me the accreditation for the media day. So I always like to give flowers because those people are very busy, but they found the time in their lives to help me out, to ensure that I was there on Friday. Now, I'm really happy that Sky Sports is back in boxing. There was this, when I went to the press conference, and like I said, I'll always give you my perspective, there was this nostalgia there, as I remember Sky Sports was with Boxer, and that was the very first accreditation I had to boxing media. So it brought back a wave of really positive memories. I saw even from like the camera crew, the backbone of the business, the ones that work the engine so we can get the quality production, etc. It was great to see all of them. Some of the interviewers that were there as well. It was nice to see, but then they had the American spice on there because they had Nikisa was there, and obviously the American entourage, the PR, are very professional, very respectful, and it was great to see. So I am looking forward to the MVP card in the UK as their debut. Shout out to all of the female fighters on there. I managed to speak to Caroline Dubois, Terry Harper, Chantal Cameron, Emma Dolan and Tycee Gallagher. There are other fighters on there, but those are the guys that I spoke to. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad to see Sky Sports back, but I genuinely thought it would have aired on Netflix because Netflix, they carry that, don't they? But it's great to see that Sky Sports are like, you know what? We're back in business, baby. I don't know how many shows MVP are going to be broadcasting with them. We already know that Sky put in an aggressive, those are Callie Sowland's words, an aggressive offer to house Mfpro, or MFPro, I beg your pardon, for Callie strangles me when he sees me. So they are very serious about coming into boxing. So it adds the question, what other promoters will they be housing on Sky Sports? Because most valuable, I'm presuming that their key business, we've already heard Jake Paul call out the likes of Vidal Riley, Darren Till. Those are going to be the Netflix shows, aren't they? Put it that way. And whoever's on the card is going to be aired on Netflix. But Sky will have the other broadcasts, whether it's American time. Fortunately for the debut and the fighters, to be fair, the fighters majority are British. So it's good, and that's why I called this like evolution and understanding, or understanding and evolution. You have to, I think the thing is with us as boxing fans, and I will say this because I'm one, we get fed information and we see what we want to see. And half the time we pick up on the negative stuff and then we build narratives on that. And we don't necessarily see things for what they are or what they could be. We don't necessarily ask for reasons why. So that is, and I hope I haven't missed anything, because you know what I'm like, my memory is terrible. I'm going to upload a Tycee Gallagher conversation in a bit. And when I saw her, I knew her name. I just couldn't remember it. And you know me, I don't like to edit my videos. So that's at the front of it. So I'm very prepared for the Tycee Gallagher fans to say, you shouldn't have given her your time. She can't even remember your name. My memory is like that. And trust me, guys, when I tell you I have had a very, very emotional week. But with that, there is no watch along tonight. This is the engagement that you're going to get from me. I do believe that some more announcements are going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. So keep your ears to the ground for that. That is potentially with MFPro and another one I'm not privy to say because I've been sworn to secrecy. But there's going to be some announcements coming soon. I will be at the Nottingham Press Week. I'm not sure if I'm going to be at the venue. I'm looking forward to catching up with Sandy Ryan, actually, with the conversation that I had with Chantal Cameron, where she sat in her truth as well, her opinion, her experience. So yes, I'll be there for Press Week with that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there fight night, because you know me, I love to do the watch along with you guys. I like the community that we've built. I like the banter that we have. I like the fact that people join the live and I'm just wittering on in the comments and people are like, what fight are we on? When's the main event? Like, in other words, shut up and talk about the fight. But I love the community that we've got. It's growing strong. So more than likely, I may be doing more watch-alongs than attending the fights, but we'll see. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of news and reviews for today. Have a fabulous weekend. Look after yourselves and your loved ones. Try to squash any unnecessary grudges, because if you really care about people, it will bite you in the end. And as we say at October Red, and we definitely had to do that this week, stay ready.